Hello, I'm Christine Manning, and welcome back to our Advanced Spirits course. Today we're taking a slight detour. We're stepping momentarily away from the world of pure distillates, the whiskeys, the brandies, and the rums, to look at a category that sits with one foot in the world of wine and the other foot in the world of spirits. We are talking about aromatized wines. Aromatized wines are often an important ingredient in cocktails. We wouldn't have the Martini, Manhattan, or Negroni without them. They've also played a big role in the history of drinking cultures around the world, so they do warrant a deeper dive. Pour yourself a glass of something complex and let's break down exactly how these beverages are made, how the law defines them, and the styles that you need to know for your exam. Let's dive in. What is an aromatized wine? Just wine with flavors added in? It's a little more complicated than that. There are four main components to an aromatized wine: base wine, fortification, botanicals, and sweetening. We start with our base wine, which is made from, you guessed it, grapes. Historically, the heartland of aromatized wine follows a geographical arc, tracing along many wine-growing regions. This arc travels from northwest Italy, sweeping through Alpine and Mediterranean France, and down into northeast Spain. While producers all over the world are making them today, these regions are where traditions and our regulations are coming out of. Winemakers will harvest grapes, crush them, and ferment them just like any table wine. Here, though, we are after a specific base. Producers are typically looking for white wines that are low in aromatic intensity but relatively high in acidity. This is because if a wine is too aromatic, it will clash with the botanicals you want to add. And high acid is crucial for balance. Since most of these products will be sweetened, you want that acidic backbone to stop your final product from tasting cloying. Before we move on, we do have one exception to note that does not follow the fermented wine rule, called a Mistelle. Found in France, used in products like Pinot de Charentes, a Mistelle is where you will take unfermented grape juice, so no wine at all, and add a spirit to it. The alcohol will kill yeast before fermentation can even start, resulting in a stable, naturally sweet liquid that retains the primary fruit character of our grapes. Now let's head back to our process. After we have our base wine, we fortify. This is where our spirit part comes in. We will be strengthening or fortifying our wine with distilled alcohol. The main purpose here is stability. Aromatized wines often will be sweetened, and if you have sugar and yeast in a low alcohol environment, you will have re-fermentation, which leads to exploding bottles. By raising our alcohol level, we make the environment toxic to yeast, ensuring our product stays shelf stable. Most producers will use a neutral spirit because, just like with the base wine, you don't want the spirit to add too many flavors to compete with our botanicals. Taking us to our botanical recipe, this is what will define our style. We are usually looking at herbs, roots, spices, and sometimes fruit. Historically, the core tends to be bitter. This links back to our medicinal origins of these drinks because they were used as tonics. The three ingredients you have to remember are wormwood, which is essential for vermouth, Gentian, and quinine, which is derived from Quinquina bark. Producers will usually extract these flavors through tinctures, where we macerate our plants in alcohol, but sometimes they will distill our botanicals to create a flavor concentrate. And finally, we have to finish our mixture to create balance. Most aromatized wines are sweetened, usually with sugar or caramel. And even if you see a red vermouth, in the vast majority of cases, the base is a white wine with that rich red amber color coming from caramel coloring. Now let's look at our rules. As with many things in alcohol, the definitions change depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on. In the USA, the US defines aromatized wines as aperitif wines. They must be fortified, flavored with botanicals, and have a minimum ABV of 15%. The term vermouth is recognized as a specific type of aperitif wine that has to have the taste and characteristics generally attributed to vermouth. The EU regulations are a bit more specific. Here, an aromatized wine must have an ABV between 14.5% and 22%. The EU also categorizes them by their dominant flavoring. So vermouth must contain a species of wormwood. Quinquina or quinato must be made using quinine as the main flavoring. And Americano comes from the root word amaro, meaning bitter, has nothing to do with the Americas. These must be flavored with wormwood and gentian. So it might be worth a quick memorization for multiple choice that you have both ingredients here. Thinking of those Americans maybe going the extra mile to make it very bitter. The US also regulates sweetness levels. There's a sliding scale from extra dry at the lowest with less than 30 grams per liter of sugar, all the way up to sweet with 130 grams per liter or more. And a quick side note, legal definitions don't always match your dietary desires. You might buy a bottle labeled as dry, but because of the intense bitterness of the botanicals used, the producer has to add a significant amount of sugar just to make it palatable. So while it might be dry, chances are there still is sugar in it. Now let's look at production choices and how these manifest in the bottle. We will focus on vermouth. Coming from the German root word Vermouth, translates to wormwood. Starting with Vermouth di Torino is our classic Italian style from the Northwest. It is red, sweet, and rich. Traditionally, it was made using Moscato wine, but today it usually has a more neutral white wine that is turned red through caramel coloring. The botanical profile balances bitter with spices and citrus. Moving across the Alps into France, we find the Chambéry style of vermouth. This is different from our Italian style. It uses a less aromatic white wine base and is famous for being lighter in mouthfeel with floral and fruity botanical notes. You also have styles that play with wood aging. A great example is a French Quinquina called Bière. It is made from a base of red wines from southwest France, flavored with quinine and then matured in large oak foudre for several years. This wood aging gives it an oxidative complexity that you don't find in fresh vermouths. Now, since aromatized wines are wines, while they are fortified, they are not spirits, so they do not have the shelf life of a bottle of vodka, for example. Once you open it, keep it in the fridge and try to finish it within a few weeks. Do not leave it on that warm back bar for 6 months. Let's recap. Aromatized wines are where viticulture and distillation merge. We start with our base wine, usually neutral, high-acid white wine, though sometimes using a Mistelle. We then fortify that base with a spirit, using a neutral spirit to stop fermentation and provide stability. We will flavor it using maturation or a distillation of botanicals. The botanicals we have to know are wormwood, quinine, and gentian. Be sure you can match those to their related styles. We will finish our product by sweetening it, and in the case of our red styles, usually coloring it with caramel. These liquids are complex, historical, and vital to many a cocktail. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck in your studies. Cheers.